ይሰማችኋል? Okay. Let us continue our discussion. For today, we will try to see how to simplify the square root expressions. Okay, still now we are considering to extract perfect square numbers from the square root. But if the given radicand is not perfect square, for that case we will simplify the given square root expression. So for the question how to simplify such expression, we will consider the following examples. Let us consider how to simplify square root expression when the given radicand is non-perfect square. Let us consider two examples. So as you see, the radicand for this case, they are non-perfect. They cannot be written as a product of two identical factors. So for that reason, the only possible way to solve this expression, just we simplify the given expression. How to simplify? Let us do together. Let us start from the first one. We are given a square root of 48. So as I said before, this radicand cannot be written as a product of two identical factors. So now we are going to write this radicand as a product of one perfect and one non-perfect. So there are different possibilities to write as a product of one perfect, one non-perfect. We can say 12 times 4. We can say 16 times 3. It's possible. But when you write the given radicand as a product of one perfect and non-perfect, the non-perfect part must be with the last simplified form. So for that reason, we choose this possibility. So the square root of 48 means the square root of 16 times 3. So 16 is a perfect square and 3 is a non-perfect square. So when extract 16 from the square root, the result will be 4 and the square root of 3 as it is. So the last simplified form of the square root of 48 will be 4 times of the square root of 3. So we simplify square root expression like this one. Let us continue B. B, the square root of 300. Again, for this case, we can write 300 as a product of two identical factors. So we are going to write the given radicand as a product of one perfect and one non-perfect. So 300 can be written as 3 times 100. 100 is a perfect square. 3 is not perfect. So when we extract 100 from the square root, the result will be it's 10. So 10 times of the square root of 3. So we can simplify square root of expression like this one. Any question on this? ጥያቄ ያላችሁ እዚህ ላይ? Okay, let us continue. The second point, how to add radical expression, square root expression. How to add and subtract. Let us consider example for the case of this one, how to add or how to subtract radical expression. Let us consider two examples. A, the square root of 8 plus the square root of 18. B, the square root of 12 minus the square root of 27. Let us solve this problem together. And once you get the point, it is a very simple task. Just follow me. Okay, the rule, remember, when you add or when you subtract radical, the rule is, let us write the rule over here. Only we add or subtract like radical. So this is the rule. When we add or subtract radicals, we follow this rule. Only we add or subtract like radicals. What is like radical means? When the radical and the radicand must be the same to be considered as like radicals. For instance, if we say square root of 3 and square root of 3, they are like radicals. The square root is square root in both cases. The radicand is 3 and 3. The square root of 2 and square root of 3, they are not like radicals. So to consider radicals like radicals, the radical sign must be the same, and also the radicand must be similar. So for this case, these are like radicals. So to add the first case, the square root of 8 plus the square root of 18, as you see at this position, the two radicals are not like. The radical sign is the same, square root, but the radicand is not similar. For this case is 8, for this case is 18. So we convert into the same radical. So how to convert? As we did earlier in the above example, we going to write the given radicand as a product of one perfect and one non-perfect. So 8 can be written as the square root of 4 times 2.
4 times 2?
Yes. 18 can be written as
9 times 2? 2?
9 times. So when we extract 4 from the square root, the result will be 2 times the square root of 3, the square root of 2 plus 9, it will be 3 times the square root of 2. Now the radicals are like square root, 2, 2. So we can add or subtract like radicals. So when you add or subtract like radicals, after you convert it to like radicals, you add or subtract only the coefficients. Here is the coefficient 2, here is the coefficient 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. So the result will be 5 times the square root of 2. The square root of 2. So the simplified form of the square root of 8 plus the square root of 18 will be 5 times the square root of 2. So with this way, we can add or we can subtract radical expressions. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, let us continue. B. B, the square root of 12 minus the square root of 27. So as you see from the example, at this position, the two radicals are not like radicals. So we convert
6 times,
not 6 times 2. Remember,
4 times 3.
as a product of one perfect and one imperfect.
4 times 3.
4 times 3. 4 times 3 minus, what about the case of 27?
9 times 3.
7 times 3?
9 times 3. Always the non-perfect part must be similar. So 4 extracted from the square root as 2, it will be 2 times the square root of 3 minus 9 extracted from the square root as 3, so 3 times the square root of 3. So now the radicals are like radicals, so we can add or we can subtract. So remember, after you convert the radicals into like, you add or subtract only the coefficients, the radical as it is, just like variables. So here the coefficient is 2, here is the coefficient 3, 2 minus 3 is minus 1. So minus 1, the square root of 3. Most of the time, 1 cannot be written. So you can put the answer like this one, the minus of the square root of 3. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me give you
No.
an activity.
Mister,
Yes. Any question?
sound waiting room ውስጥ ተማሪዎች እየጠበቁ ነው።
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
አዳርገናቸዋል።
Okay. Congrats.
Okay, እነዚህ ጥያቄዎች ቶሎ ስሩ ከስር finally we will do together. Okay. Let me give you some time to try the questions and finally we will do together.
ሚስተር እንዴት ጥያቄው
እሺ
ሚስተር ከታች ጂ ያለው
No, it's up to F.
ሚስተር ስክሪኑ አይታየም።
Question number what? ያልታያችሁ ካለ ነገሩኝ ላይ አነብላችኋል።
ቢ ሚስተር
B, the square root of 27 plus the square root of 48 minus the square root of 12.
4 አይደለም?
The square root of 48 minus the square root of 12.
ሚስተር ምንም አይነት ስክሪን አይታየም።
አፋችን ከሰከመን ችግር
አሁን አይታያችሁም?
ይታያል። አይታየም።
ኧረ ይታያል።
በቃ ስሩ፣ የታያችሁ ስሩ፣ ያልታያችሁ አብረን ስንሰራ ኤግዛምፕሉን ታዩታላችሁ። ጥያቄው
እሺ
ያልታየው ማን ነው? በስም ንገሩ።
Eli.
ማናሽ
Eli. Eli.
ኤሊን
Elim.
እሺ
ይመጣል።
የመጀመሪያውን ይሞክራል
አዎ
ስንት መጣላችሁ Okay, let us do together. ከስር ስሩ ያልገባችሁ ልጆች ይሄን ፎሎ አድርጉ። Okay. To simplify this expression, as we said before, we are going to write the given radicand into the product of one perfect and one non-perfect. So 50 can be written as 25 times 2 minus 8 can be written as 4 times 2 plus the square root of 18. 18 can be written as 9 times 2. So when we extract 25 from the square root, it is 5. So the result will be 5 times the square root of 2 minus 4. It will be 2 when extract it from the square root. So the result will be 2 times the square root of 2 plus 9. It will be 3 times the square root of 2. Now, as you see, the radicals are like, so we can add or we can subtract the radicals. So after we convert into like radicals, we add or subtract the coefficients, only the coefficients, the radical as it is. So 5 minus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6. So the result will be, the final result, 6 times the square root of 2. So the final simplified form of the expression, the square root of 50 minus the square root of 8 plus the square root of 18 will be 6 times the square root of 2.
2
Is that clear?
Yes.
yes
Okay. Let us go to B. B, we are given the square root of 27 plus the square root of 48 minus the square root of 12. So when we write 27 as a product of one perfect and one non-perfect, it will be 9 times 3 plus 48, 16 times 3
3
minus 12, 4 times 3. So when we simplify this expression, 3 times the square root of 3 plus this one, 4 times the square root of 3 minus this one, 2 times the square root of 3. So 3 plus 4 is 7, 7 minus 2 is 5, so it will be 5 times the square root of 3. So once you get the point, it is very simple task. Yes? Manaj? ያልገባችሁ ነገር ካለ ጠይቁ።
ሚስተር የሁለተኛው አልገባኝም።
ሁለተኛው
ሚስተር የሁለተኛው ጥያቄ ላይ ስኩዌር ሩት ኦፍ 27 ማይነስ ነው ፕላስ
ፕላስ ማይነስ ያለችው መጨረሻ ነው። Okay, see, 5 times the square root of 18 minus 3 times the square root of 72 plus 4 times the square root of 50. So once you get the points, the procedures, they are similar. To simplify such kind of expressions, very simple task. And again, point to ሊገባችሁ ይገባል። ከገባችሁ very simple ነው። አንድ አይነት ስራ ነው የምንሰራው። ካያችሁት ከመጀመሪያ ኤግዛምፕል ጀምሮ we did the same thing. So here also we are going to write the given radicand as a product of one perfect and one non-perfect. So 5 times the square root of 80 means it is 9 times 2 minus 3 times the square root of 72 means 36 times 2 plus 4 times the square root of 50 means 25 times 2. So when we extract 9 from the square root, 3, but there is a coefficient 5 here. So 5 times 3, it will be 15. 15 times the square root of 2. Minus, when we extract 36 from the square root, it will be 6 times 3, there is a coefficient 3 here, so it will be 18. 6 times 3, 18. 18 times the square root of 2. Plus, when we extract 25 from the square root, the result will be 5. 5 times 4, here is the coefficient 4, it will be 20. 20 times the square root of 2. So now the radicals are like radicals, so we can add or subtract the radicals. So when we add or subtract the coefficient, 15 minus 18, it is minus 3. Minus 3 plus 20, it will be 17 times the square root of 2. So as we saw from the examples we did still now, the procedures are very similar. So once you get the point, it's very simple. Any question? ጥያቄ ያላችሁ መደመር መቀነስ ላይ ራዲካሎችን መደመር መቀነስ ላይ ሌላችሁም ጥያቄ? Okay, now let us go to the rest of the cases. For this case, we will try to see how to multiply or divide radicals. For that case, just very simple. Let us consider the examples or the equations. D, the square root of 2 into the square root of 32 plus the square root of 50. For this case, we apply the distributive property. If you remember, for the expression A into B plus C, we distribute this as A times B plus A times C. So this is a distributive property. To calculate or to simplify this expression, we apply indirectly the distributive property. When you multiply radicals, remember the rule: multiply radical by radical. Radical by radical. So this is a rule when we multiply radicals. So the square root of 2 times the square root of 32. So we can multiply the radical because the radicals are similar. So we multiply the radicals. 2 times 32 is 64. So the square root of 64 plus the square root of 2 times the square root of 50. 2 times 50, 100. So it will be the square root of 100. So 64 is perfect square and 100 is perfect square. So when we extract 64 from the square root, it will be 8 plus when we extract 100 from the square root, it will be 10. So when we add 8 plus 10, the result will be 80. So when you multiply radicals, always multiply radical by radical. Any question on D? Okay, let us go to E. Again here, we apply the distributive property to simplify this expression. So the square root of 8 times the square 3 times the square root of 2 plus when we multiply this by this, and the square root of 8 times the square root of 2, just as a radical like radical, so we can multiply the radical. So 8 times 2 is 60. So the square root of 60. Here we can rewrite this expression as 3 times the square root of 8 over the square root of 2 plus the square root of 60. We can rewrite this expression as this form. It's possible. So as you remember, the square root of a over b means we discussed about this property, which is equal to the square root of a over the square root of b. So using this property, we can write this expression as also 3 times the square root of 8 over 2. It's possible. So which is equal to the square root of 60. Now, when we simplify the radicand, 8 divided by 2, it will be 3, it will be 4, so 3 times the square root of 4 plus the square root of 60. Now, 4 is a perfect square, 16 is also a perfect square, so when we extract 4 from the square root, it will be 2, 2 times 3 is 6, plus, when we extract 16 from the square root, it will be 4. So 6 plus 4 will be 10. So when we simplify the given expression, the final answer will be 10. Any question on this?
Yeah.
ገብቷችኋል?
Mister, how did you get 6?
6. The square root of 4 is 2. Is that not?
Yes.
So 2 times 3, there is a coefficient 3 here. 2 times 3, it will be what? 6. Yes?
Yeah.
Do you get the point?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, if the square root of 8 divided by the square root of 32. So division is very simple. To make simple, we can rewrite this expression as this form. Division means just fraction. So you can write in fraction form. The square root of 8 divided by the square root of 32 means the square root of 8 over the square root of 32. So to make our work simple, we can rewrite this expression as this form. It's possible. So now to simplify this one, we can rewrite the given radicand as a product of one perfect or one non-perfect, or we can rewrite the given expression using the property. Let us do with the two ways. The square root of 8 means the square root of 4 times 2 over the square root of 32 means 16 times 2. So when we extract 4 from the square root, it will be, the result will be 2. So 2 times the square root of 2 over the square root of, when we extract 16 from the square root, it will be 4 times the square root of 2. So the square root of 2 cancel out by the square root of 2. So here is by 2, 1, by 2, 2. So the final result will be 1 over 2. This is the first possibility or the first way. Or we can solve as the square root of 8 over the square root of 32 means we can rewrite this expression as the square root of 8 over 32. It is possible. So when we simplify by 2, it is 4, by 2, it is 60. So which is equal to the square root of 4 over 60. So 4 extracted from the square root as 2 and 16 as 4. And when we simplify this one, the result similar. You can solve with these two ways. So any question, how to add, how to subtract, how to multiply, or how to divide radicals? ጥያቄ ያለው ራዲካሎቹን እንዴት መደመር መቀነስ ማባዛትና ማካፈል እንዳለብን ያልገባው አለ?
ማካፈሉ
the last one f ላይ ነው? it's very simple እኮ f አካፍሎ የተባልነው the square root of 18 by the square root of 32 ነው። so መጀመሪያ ለመስራት እንዲያመቸን እንዴት አድርገን ሪራይት ማድረግ ይቻላል? ይሄን የመጀመሪያውን ኤክስፕሬሽን በፍራክሽን ፎርም ማስቀመጥ ይቻላል። the square root of 8 over the square root of 32 ብለን ማለት ነው። ያው ፍራክሽን ማለት in other way indirectly division ማለት ነው። so the square root of 8 ማለት ደግሞ as a product of one perfect እና non perfect ስንገልጸው 4 times 2 ይሆናል 32 16 times 2 ይሆናል 4 ሲወጣ ከስኩዌር ሩት 2 ይሆናል so finally የምናገኛለን 2 times the square root of 2 ይሆናል over 16 ከስኩዌር ሩት ሲወጣ 4 ይሆናል finally 4 times the square root of 2 እናገኛለን So
ሚስተር ኤፍ ላይ ሳይሆን ኢ ላይ ነው።
ኢላይ
ኢ ላይ ጥያቄ አለኝ።
እሺ የትኛው ስቴፕ ላይ እስቲ
ኢ ላይ ከሶስተኛው ስቴፕ ላይ አልገባኝም።
እሺ ፎሎ አድርጎ አንዴ ልድገምላችሁ ጀስት ፎሎ አድርጎ ምንድነው ያደረግነው መጀመሪያ distributive property ነው አፕላይ ያደረግነው the square root of 8 times 3 over the square root of 2 ይሄን እናገኛለን the square root of 8 times the square root of 2 the square root of 16 እናገኛለን step 1 step 2 ይሄንን ኤክስፕሬሽን ሪራይት ማድረግ ይቻላል the square root of 8 times 3 over the square root of 2 ሚለው 3 times the square root of 8 over the square root of 2 አድርገን መጻፍ ይቻላል ለምን 3 times the square root of 8 አስታውሱ ቅድም ራዲካል በራዲካል ነው የሚባዛው 3 times the square root of 8 ስትባሉ አንዳንድ ተማሪዎች ምን ያደርጋሉ 3 times 8 24 ያደርጉና the square root of 24 ይላሉ ይሄ ሮንግ ነው always ስናባዛ ሩሉ ምንድነው ብያችኋለሁ ራዲካል coefficient by coefficient ነው እናባዛው so ስናስቀምጠው ይሄንን 3 times the square root of 8 ብለን እናስቀምጣለን so like that 3 times the square root of 8 over 2 ብለን ማስቀመጥ ይቻላል ማለት ነው clear ነው okay plus 16 plus the square root of 16 አለ then ባለፈው ባልነው መሰረት the square root of a over b ማለት the square root of a over the square root of b ነው ብለን so በዚህ ፕሮፐርቲ መሰረት ይሄንን again the square root of 8 over 2 ብለን ማስቀመጥ ይቻላል so 8 over 2 ሲምፕሊፋይ ስናደርገው 4 ይሆናል so 4 ከስኩዌር ሲወጣ 2 ይሆናል 2 times 3 6 ይሆናል ያው 16 ከስኩዌር ሲወጣ 4 ይሆናል 6 plus 4 10 ይሆናል ማለት what about now
ገብቶኝ
okay ሁላችሁም ገብታችኋል let us discuss the final point rationalization
No.
okay let us consider one example so rationalization means it is a process of converting an irrational denominator into rational remember the square root of any non-perfect numbers considered as irrational numbers for example the square root of 2 the square root of 3 the square root of 5 the square root of 6 and so on the square root of any non-perfect numbers considered as irrational numbers here in the example the square root of 2 is irrational so rationalizing means the process of converting the irrational denominator into rational so how to convert this irrational denominator into rational let us do together so to convert the irrational denominator into rational we are going to multiply the given expression by the rationalizing factor the rationalizing factor can be extracted from the denominator is the square root of 2 so we are going to multiply the square root of 1 over the square root of 2 by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2 so this expression is called rationalizing factor where do we get this rationalizing factor by considering the denominator of the given expression the denominator of the given expression is the square root of 2 so we are going to multiply the given expression by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2 so when we multiply 1 by the square root of 2 it is the square root of 2 the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 it is the square root of 4 so the result will be the square root of 2 over 2 the square root of 4 means this 2 therefore 1 over the square root of 2 is identical with the square root of 2 over 2 these two expressions are equal the difference is here the denominator is irrational here the denominator is rational the number 2 is rational the number the square root of 2 is irrational so we call this process rationalization is that clear
Yes.
ብዙ ጊዜ ናሽናል ኤግዛማችሁ ላይ መልስ የሚቀመጠው ራሽናላይዚንግ ተደርጎ ነው ሶ መልሱ በዚህ ፎርም ከመጣላችሁ ራሽናላይዚንግ ማድረግ አለባችሁ ማለት ነው ብዙ ጊዜ ተማሪ ለማሰፋት ኦፕሽን ዲ ላይ ነን የሚል ኦፕሽን ይኖራል ብዙ ተማሪ ካልኩሌት ሲያደርግ መጀመሪያ ኦሪጂናል የሚመጣው መልሱ በዚህ ነው ግን የሚቀመጠው ራሽናላይዚንግ ተደርጎ ነው ሶ ኢራሽናል ዲኖሚኔተር ከመጣ ራሽናላይዚንግ ማድረግ አለባችሁ ማለት ነው Okay, homework ይሄን ሞክሩት ቤት ለራሳችሁ ይሄን ሞክሩት እነዚህ ሁለቱም እንደምታዩት ዲኖሚኔተራቸው ኢራሽናል ነምበር ነው ሶ ራሽናላይዚንግ አድርጎ የተባላችሁ ሶ ማባዛት ነው ባይ ዘ ራሽናላይዚንግ ፋክተር ማለት ነው ለዛሬ በቀናል ጥያቄ ካላችሁ መጠየቅ ትችላላችሁ የላችሁም
አዎ ሚስተር
ሞክሩት እነዚህ ጥያቄዎች ቻው
Ciao.
ቻው
Bye, mister.
Bye, mister. Bye, 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 bye.
ባይ ሚስተር
Bye, 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 bye,
Bye.
bye.
ኦኬ ይቅርታ ለተፈጠረው ችግር በመሃል አምስት ክፍሎች ገብቶ ነው ባለፈው ካቆምንበት እንጀምር Okay, last time as you remember we are doing a review exercise and we are on question number 3b so starting from that question let us go together so to simplify this question as I told you last time if a decimal number is given we convert it into fraction to simplify our work so let us convert this decimal into fraction we can do as it is but to simplify more let us convert it with fraction number so which is equal to 4 over 27 times the square root of the fraction form of 0.0009 means 9 over 10,000 over the fraction form of 0.01 means 1 over 100 so we convert the mixed number or mixed fraction into improper fraction so 2 times 9 is 18 18 times 2 is 20 so 20 over 9 minus 4 over 3 this is the first step okay now so this is a perfect square number 9 over 10,000 so it can be out of the square root so 4 over 27 times what is the result when we extract 9 over 10,000 from the square root
100
what
3 over 100
3 over 100 3 over 100 over 1 over 10 1 over 100 let us simplify this one you can crisscross or you can convert into like fraction and you can subtract as you like so 20 over 9 minus 4 over 3 means 20 over 9 minus when we multiply this fraction by 3 over 3 we will get 12 over 9 so it is like fraction so the result will be 8 over 9 you can crisscross it as you like so the result will be 8 over 9 okay this is the second step but here before you multiply numbers if there are numbers that can be cancelled out just cancel it first so first for example by 3 1 by 3 9 by 4 1 by 4 25 again here by 4 2 by 4 5 so 1 times 1 is 1 over 9 times 25 so whole over again 1 times 2 is 2 over 25 times 9 if you remember last time I told you a property for fraction like this one a over b is whole over c over d this means when we simplify this fractional expression we will get a over b times d over c so with this way this expression is cancelled out by this one so what is left finally 1 over 2 so the simplified form of the given expression is 1 over 2 Is that clear?
ሚስተር እንዴት ትደግመዋለህ?
እሺ ኦኬ ፎሎ carefully ብዙ ጊዜ እንደዛ አይነት ኤክስፕሬሽን ሲሰጣችሁ ዴሲማል ነምበሮች ካሉ ወደ ፍራክሽን መለወጥ አለባችሁ ለመስራት እንዲያመች ማለት ነው እንዳለ መስራትም ይቻላል ሶ ምን አረግን መጀመሪያ 0.0009 የሚለውን ዴሲማል ነምበር ወደ ፍራክሽን ለወጥ ነው 9/10000 መጣ ሚክስድ ነምበሩንም ወደ ፕሮፐር ለወጥን
የስምንተኛ ክፍል ላይ የስምንተኛ ክፍል ከወለድ ላይ ነው እንግዲህ እንገባለን
አምስተኛ ክፍል ካላችሁ አሁንም ይሄ የስምንተኛ ክፍሎች ፕሮግራም ነው
አይ ጀምራችሁ
አለኮ ቤት ብትሆኚ
አምስተኛ ሰላውንም አለ
እሺ ቆይ አንዴ እስቲ እነሱን ለማስወጣት እንሞክር
ምንም አይደለም ግን አሁናችሁ
ለሁላችሁ አምስተኛ ክፍል ካላችሁ ወጥቼ
ሂደን ወጣ
ወከር ኤክስፒሪየንስ ላይ ደግምላችኋል እንጂ አሁን በዚህ ሁኔታ እሱ ምን አርጉ ነው
እንትን ላይ ሲላክ ቴሌግራም ላይ ሲልክ
ድጋሚ ለምን ተላከ ድጋሚ ለምን ተላከ
እሺ አላችሁት ውስጥ አምስተኛ ክፍል አለ አምስተኛ ክፍል አለ
አዎ አለ ሚስተር
አዎ አሉ ሚስተር
ለተማሪ አሉ
ወይ አምስተኞች ይሰማቸዋል ሄሎ አምስተኞች ይሰማቸዋል በቃ
ኦኬ እንቀጥል
ሚስተር
ኦኬ
ሚስተር
እሺ ሶ ዴሲማል ነምበሮችን ወደ ፍራክሽን ክለወጥን ለመስራት ስለሚያመች ነው እንጂ ሌላ ነገር አይደለም አሲቲዝ መስራት ይቻላል አሲ ዴሲማል ፎርም እንዳለ ካልኩሌት ማድረግ ይቻላል ሶ 9/10000 ማለት ከስኩዌር ሲወጣ 3/100 ይሆናል ያው 9 ማለት 3 times 3 ነው 10000 ማለት ደግሞ 100 times 100 ነው ሶ ብዙ ጊዜ ደግሞ ብዙ ተማሪዎች ከማባዛታቸው በፊት ካንስል አውት የሚሆኑ ነምበሮች ካሉ ካንስል አውት አድርጉ ለምሳሌ by 3 1 by 3 27 9 ይመጣል by 4 1 by 4 125 ይመጣል again እዚህ by 8 by 4 2 ይመጣል 100 by 4 25 ይመጣል ሶ ስታባዙት 1 times 1 1 ይመጣል 9 times 25 አሲቲዝ እናስቀምጠዋለን 9 times 25 again 1 times 2 2 ይመጣል 25 times 9 25 times 9 ይመጣል ሶ 25 times 9 ያው ሪዛልቱ ዘ ሴም ስለሆነ ካንስል አውት ይሆናል ሶ ማን ይቀራል ማለት ነው 1/2 ይመጣል ከፈለጋችሁም እዚህ ጋር ካልገባችሁ ሞር ስቴፕን ጨምር ከተባለ 1/225 ይመጣል ስታባዙት ኦቨር 200 2/225 ይመጣል በዚህ ፕሮፐርቲ መሰረት እዚህ ጋር ባስቀመጥነው ፕሮፐርቲ መሰረት 1/225 times 225/2 ይመጣል ሶ ይሄ በዚህ ይጣፋል ሶ ማን ይቀራል 1/2 ይቀራል ማለት ነው ኢዛ ክሊር ገብቷችኋል
ሚስተር
ኦኬ እሺ እንቀጥል ጋር እንምጣ see it's very simple question no the square root of 3 square minus the square root of 8 square as I said before last time the square can be cancelled out by the square root so this square can be cancelled out the square root and this square cancel out the square root so what is left 3 minus 8 is left so 3 minus 8 means it is minus 5 This is very simple question. Okay, D, similar question. The square root of 36 square plus the square root of 16 square. Similar question. As I told you before, there is no difference between the expressions. This one, the square root of a square and the square root of a square, the two expressions are similar. There is no difference between these two expressions. So for this case also, this square can be cancelled out by the square root, and this square can be cancelled out by the square root. So what is left? 36 plus 16. So 36 plus 16 is 52.
50.
Yes. And E, most of the students confused with this question. 1/9 plus 1/16. Most of the students did this question like this one. The square root of 1/9 plus the square root of 1/, but this is automatically wrong. So we simplify the radicand as it is under radical sign. So when we solve this question, 1/9 plus 1/16 is equal to, when we simplify the radicand as it is, 1 times 16 is crisscross. When we did crisscross, apply on this radicand, 16 plus 9/1 is 9 over this 9 times 116 is 144. So which is equal to the square root of 25 over 144. So 25 is a perfect square, 144 is a perfect square. So the result of 5/12. So this is the way how we did this question. Okay, that number 4. Number 4. Remember, there is a given condition. The square root of 3.15 is equal to 9.9225. This is a given condition. And we are asked the square of this one, 31.5. What is the square of 31.5? We are a given condition, this one, already this one is given. So based on the given condition, we are asked to calculate the square of 31.5. So to calculate the square of 31.5, we write the given expression first. So when we shift the decimal point to this one, it will be 3.15 times what? Times 10. 31.5 means, in other ways, when we shift the decimal point to this side, so it will be 3.15 times 10. So the square of this means the square of this one. When we multiply 3.15 by 10, we will get again 31.5. They are similar questions, similar expression. So by property, if you remember, A times B square means A square times B square. So by this property, when we apply this property on this question, we will get 3.15 square times 10 square. 3.1 square is already given here, 9.9225. So when we substitute the square of 3.152 is 9.9225 times the square of 10 means already 100. So when we multiply decimal number by power of 10, it's very simple, no need of any calculation. By observing, we can answer. What will be the result? 9.925 times 100.
992.25.
Result ምን ይሆናል?
992.2.
እየሰማችሁ ነው?
992.25.
Point
25.
25.
You are right. Simply we shift the decimal point to the right. Yes, 992.25. So we can calculate with this way. Any question on this? ጥያቄ ካላችሁ?
No.
No. የለም ሚስተር።
Okay. Now the last point for today, let us mention two properties of square roots. Let us take A and B an element of rational number, and also A and B are a rational number which are greater than or equal to 0. Then, by property, the square root of A times B means the square root of A times the square root of B. This is the first property. When we solve problem, these properties are important. And the second property, the square root of A over B is equal to the square root of A over the square root of B. For this case, the B must be different from 0. So these two properties are very important when we solve problems. Let us mention some example. So A, to calculate the square root of 144 times 400, it is possible to multiply the numbers radicand and we extract the result from the square root. But simply by applying the above properties, this expression can be written as the square root of 144 times the square root of 400. So 144 is a perfect square, 400 is also a perfect square. So the result of the square root of 144 will be 12 times the result of the square root of 400 will be 20. So when we multiply these numbers, 20 by 12, it will be 240. So simply by applying the above property, we can calculate any expressions. Let me give you an activity. Okay, let me give you some minutes. Try to do these questions. ስንት ይመጣል የመጀመሪያው?
25 over 32.
25 over 32. Exactly.
32.
So simply by applying the above property, this expression can be rewritten as the square root of 625 over the square root of 1024. So 625 is a perfect square. 1224 is a perfect square. So 625 means 25 times 25, it will be 25 and 1024 means 32 times 32, it will be 32 when we extract from the square root. So the result will be 25 over 32. Go to the second one.
25 over 4.
25 over 4, not. Do it again. Remember, this expression can be written as what? By applying the above property, we can rewrite the given expression as 2 over 5 times 125 over 8. It is possible. And as I told you, before you multiply numbers, if there are expressions that can be cancelled out, first cancel out. Okay, let us do together. When we cancel out expression by 2, it is 1.
25 over 4.
No, 20. Yeah, let us do together. By 2.
11 over 20.
No. By 5, 1. By 5, 25.
Over 2.
So, yes, yes, again.
25 over 4.
Okay, let us do together. 1 times 25 is 25. 1 times 4 is 4. So when we extract 25 over 4 from the square root, the result will be 5 over 2. So the final result will be 5 over 2, not 25 over 4. Okay, similarly, we can do the last exercise. So the square root of 36 times the square root of 1 over 324 means when we write this expression as 36 times 1 over 324. So 36 times 1 over 324 means the square root of 36 over 324. So by the above property, which is can be written as the square root of 36 over the square root of 324. So when we extract 36 from the square root, it will be 6.
6 over
And
18.
18. When we cancel out this one by 3, by 2, it is 3.
3.
By 2, by
9.
6.
9.
By 6 it is 1. By 6 it is what? 3.
1 over 3.
1 over 3.
Over 3.
So we can simplify a square root expression like this one. Do you have any question on square numbers and square roots?
No.
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 ኖትና ወርክሽት ተዘጋጅቶላችኋል? ደርሷችኋል? ኖቱና ወርክሽቱ
የላችሁ
በቃ እሱን ስሩ። ጥያቄ ኤኒ ኩዌሽን ካላችሁ ኔክስት ታይም አብረን እንሰራለን።
እሺ።
ቻው
ቻው።
Bye.
Bye, mister.
ባይ
Bye.
ከዚህ በኋላ